In this episode of The Gallop, Matt and Anthony interview men's basketball player Jarred Hyder. Jarred is having his best collegiate season as the Mustangs are having their best start to a Big West season in 5 years.
Coming to you from the sidelines of Mustang Memorial Field,
the outfield of Baggett Stadium,
the stands of Mott Athletic Center,
the home of 21 Division I teams, 4 current Big West champions, and thousands of the fans of the green and gold.
This is The Gallop.
Here on The Gallop, we are highlighting the best of Mustang sports, featuring student athletes competing at the height of their abilities and giving you the exclusive on Cal Poly athletics.
Every other week, we will update you on the biggest headlines in Cal Poly sports and spotlight the athletes and coaches that represent our Mustangs.
I'm Nick Bandanza.
And I'm Matthew Ho.
And you're listening to The Gallop.
Brought to you by KCPR 91.3 and Mustang News Sports. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gallop podcast. We got a special guest today, Jarred Hyder, point guard for the Cal Poly men's basketball team. Jarred, thanks for coming on. How you doing?
Appreciate you guys for having me. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Yeah, I know. A little rainy day today. But we just want to open up with this. You know, you're from LA. Talk about a little bit before. Lakers fan growing up. Luka trade. What do you think of that?
Yeah, no, it was great. We got the news on the bus ride back out here, and of course we all thought it was fake. But you know, a lot of the guys are from Colorado, so Denver fans and things like that. We got a Warriors fan, so just kind of being able to boast and let them know we got Luka was fun. It was just kind of made the bus ride back fun, just talking about that and all the possibilities and what's going to be to come. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, well, I guess what did that kind of scene look like? Just one person say, oh, shoot, like Luka got traded for AD. Like, how did that happen?
I mean, when everybody got started seeing it, like, on social media and whatnot, like, we all, whoever was sitting next to us, like, we started, like, showing them, like, you think this is really thing? And once the, like, more reports came out, we were like, oh, this is actually happening. And then it just kind of became a big thing. But, yeah, it was surprising. I mean, to see a franchise player like that get traded, I think that's the first time we've all seen that in this time. So it's just crazy seeing that nobody's really safe in the NBA. So.
Yeah. It's like some 2K type trade that you
Right.
can see.
I don't even think 2K would have approved that trade.
Oh, yeah, there's a video of that. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, no, once again, appreciate you coming on. So now you're in your sixth year of college basketball, so really long career at this level. You know, I guess kind of looking back on it this season, you know, what are some of the things that's crossing your minds in regards to that, your career?
You said for this season?
Or just in general, your overall, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, overall career, I've just honestly been really blessed. I had some season-ending injuries at Cal. Wasn't even able to really play a full season there at my time there. And my last injury there, which was back surgery, was really scary. And coming off of that, the surgeon and, you know, the physical therapist didn't even know if I'd be able to play the sport again after that. So being able to recover from that and be playing at this level and just, you know, playing through this season, playing the majority of the game, just feels great. My body's feeling the best it's had, and, you know, just feels really good being able to fight through that adversity and be here now. So,
yeah.
For sure. Want to rewind a little bit, talk about, like, kind of how you got into basketball and just how you kind of grew that love for the game. When it was kind of like, do you have like a first basketball memory or just like kind of just like a general like little story on how you kind of got into basketball and how that kind of grew and changed over time?
Yeah, so my family, or my dad's side, is really like a basketball family. My uncle, Greg Hyder, actually played in the NBA for a little bit, and then my grandpa, Jarred Hyder, was also a really high-touted player. And my dad played at Cal State San Bernardino during his career. So obviously with them, and my older brother was really my role model growing up. I was just always looking up to him. So our parents put us into 3 sports, and we played basketball, football, and baseball growing up. And I was actually the best at baseball, but
Really?
My love for basketball was the highest. And as I started getting older, my dad kind of told me, you know, like, if you want to be really good at one of them, you're going to have to start in it. Like, you can't just play all 3 your whole life. So that's when I really just sat back and realized, like, how much I really love the game of basketball, and that's what I decided to go with.
Yeah,
for sure. Do you feel like playing other sports throughout your life kind of helped your basketball skill set? I feel like I hear a lot about, like, professional athletes, they played both in high school, football, basketball. There's like a lot of translation between like, I don't know what position you play in football, but
I was receiver and cornerback.
Yeah, like running routes is pretty similar, like sizing someone up with dribble. It's kind of similar, like movement skills there. So do you think that translated at all?
I don't know. I mean, it probably did, like subconsciously. I don't know anything directly, but yeah, once I got to high school, that's when I really narrowed in on basketball and started just making that my sole sport. So,
got you.
Yeah. I know you went to Damien. I know. I think the time when you were there, you guys were a really, really strong I think they're still really strong basketball program.
Good.
But any memories from that sticking out? Maybe certain guys you played against. So you probably played like a Sierra Canyon, right?
We didn't play Sierra Canyon, but we did play a few. Well, so my first 3 years of high school, I played at Cajon, which is my home school down in San Bernardino. And
Jaden Daniels high school too. Yeah.
Jaden Daniels was my quarterback growing up.
Really?
Yeah, we played on the same Pop Warner team. We both went to Cajon together, and we're in the same grade. So when we both got to Cajon, I was the freshman for basketball that was starting on varsity, and he was the freshman for football that was starting on varsity.
That's fire.
So, yeah, and we were good friends growing up, and he's doing great things in the NFL right now. So
yeah, how was it watching
that? It's amazing, just seeing a hometown guy being able to do that on that stage is great. But yeah, throughout high school, I definitely played a lot of good guys, travel ball and high school. Played the Mobley brothers. Just that Damien tournament. I played in it 1 year with Cajon, and then I played in it obviously when I was at Damien, and just playing the players out of there and competing with them, winning matchups against them. It was great.
Yeah, when Mobley Brothers went to Rancho
Rancho Christian.
Wasn't Dominic Harris? Was he on their team too?
Yeah, he was.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. He's at, I think, UCLA now. But that's super awesome. And then going to Fresno State, you kind of made an impact right away there. How was that kind of transition for you from high school and then being a contributor at the D1 level?
Yeah, no, it was great. So coming out of high school, I got injured my senior year I played like the first 14 games and got injured, but going into it, I was top 100 in the nation. And as a team for Damien, we were top 10 in California and open division. And once I got injured, that kind of hurt us. But for me, I was coming off an injury going into my first year at Fresno. So the summer was like really my first time really going back live and stuff, and it honestly went really well. I had a guard there, Noah Blackwell, who was a fifth year, I think, at that point. That was his last year, and it was great just playing with him, and he was really good in the pick and roll, so he really showed me a lot of things once I got there. He was, a really good mentor to me in terms of just like helping me out, taking me under his wing, and just my skill set mixed with starting to see the game at an even higher level really helped me be the player I was that year.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. And right when you got there, I mean, I think up until this year, your second career game was like your highest scoring game at Fresno. What was that kind of like? Was it a little surreal, like kind of getting that D1 level or just and like having that instant success, or were you just kind of like you knew you were going to do that type thing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the crazy thing about that day I had that career night was it was Paul George night, so it was the biggest crowd that Fresno State has seen in I don't know how long, probably since Tark was there. And so it was sold out. It was almost sold out, but the Clippers players were there. Doc Rivers was there.
Wow.
Paul George was sitting courtside, came to our locker room, so it was great to have a night like that in front of that type of crowd, and we won on a walk-off buzzer beater. So, yeah, it was great. But, I mean, just the amount of work I put in, it wasn't a surprise to me, but it was also great knowing that, like, I wouldn't say I expected it, but it also I knew I was capable of it, I would say.
Just a little validating.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome night. You go have a career game. It's a freshman. Oh, I'm sure. Were you in the dorms at that time?
I've actually never lived in a dorm throughout my college career, which I've been blessed about. But yeah, I was.
I think you're missing out on much.
I was in an apartment with my brother who played there with me, and then two of my roommates who I'm still pretty close with, Orlando Robinson being one of them.
Oh,
he's
shoot.
playing for the Raptors, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
Anthony Holland, who I think he's a grad assistant at Colorado State right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. You go in the dorms after and
Yeah, I think Jalen Green was actually on his visit that
Oh, really?
same day too.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was there too.
Damn, everybody was there.
Yeah, it was a big night for sure.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. You roommates with Orlando Robinson. He
Yeah.
was Heat and then now Raptors, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He was with the Heat, then he went to the Kings, and now he's with the Raptors
That's right. Yeah.
now.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, and then talk about that transition. So you're at Fresno State to your sophomore.
Just my
1 year.
freshman.
Oh, just
year,
freshman,
yeah.
and then going to Cal. How was? Because now you're going up. I guess kind of going up to a level to the Pac-12. I guess what kind of made you want to take that route?
Yeah, I mean, so it was kind of tricky going into that transfer portal just because it was COVID. So
Mhm.
I wasn't allowed to take any visits. I couldn't really meet any coaches. I didn't really know them other than phone calls and Zoom. Like there was no in-person meetings and stuff like that, which is really big for me. Like, just really getting to know people and relationships and building that trust. So it was hard. So one of the main reasons I had even went with Cal was because one of my childhood friends, Matt Bradley, was there. And so just kind of being able to hear from him and take his word on how the program was, how the coaches were, and just the opportunity we had there together was a big reason on why I went there. But yeah, I mean, I knew as a player, I played a lot of people in high school who I played at that level, and then even at Fresno, we played a lot of high-level teams that I was performing against. So I knew that it wouldn't be like too much of a big jump, but once I got there, the main thing was just staying healthy, and that just kind of went the wrong way while I was there.
Yeah, I guess kind of looking back at these past couple of years, like you said, even starting your senior year of high school, you were dealing with these injuries. I guess just mentally, how have you been kind of dealing with that? Because it probably is really frustrating, injury after injury after injury. Like how have you kind of dealt with that over the years?
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of credit really is to my parents and my dad just teaching me how to be level-headed, not getting too high or getting too low in any situation. So even when I play basketball, like you guys may see in games, even if I'm having a great game or a bad game, you're not really going to see a change in, my demeanor. I'm usually always pretty calm, but just having that support system around me really helped. Being able to lean on the people that are closest to you during those times really helped me out. And, injuries is probably the lowest point you get when it comes to sports. So it was really hard for sure, especially at my time at Cal. But being able to, just have my parents, my brother, and my girlfriend just around me, and that really helped me out.
Keep you level-headed a bit.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, so kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that experience you had in the portal. Obviously, been in the portal when you were at Fresno. You mentioned it was during COVID, and then you end up leaving Cal to come to Cal Poly. What were kind of the differences between those? Because if I'm correct, that COVID transfer year was before all the NIL stuff was really going crazy. I think it started in 2021.
Yeah, it was a year late. Yeah.
Yeah.
The year after I had already transferred NIL, or maybe a year and a half, 2 years after. Yeah.
So what were kind of the differences between those two? I mean, I'm sure when you're leaving Cal, it's you see all these other people getting a bag to go where they're playing. Is that kind of a thought you had, or what was kind of your thought process between
No, I mean,
the two?
for me personally, so when I transferred out of Cal, I had just came off the back surgery, so I wasn't even cleared to play basketball until late summer.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
The biggest part for me was just finding someone that was still going to believe in me. And, I really love Coach Smith for being one of those few people that still had that belief in me to be able to play, because it really was up in the air and taking a chance. And when Cal fired the Mark Fox, we got a new coach, and they didn't want to take that chance. So that's why I entered the portal in the first place. And
Got you.
So for me, it was really just finding a place where they had belief in me and I'd be able to just play basketball again, just because I was coming off such a serious injury. Yeah.
You had the major back injury, get that surgery. Cal says, you were not going to take that risk on you. What was that like on your mental? I mean, you talk about even keel, but I'm sure that time was a little rough, like trying to find a new home, basically.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was definitely rough, just kind of like just in a sense of like kicking someone while they're down, just coming off the worst injury I've had in my career and not even knowing if I was going to be able to play again. But for me, after that back surgery, it really helped me just kind of start looking at things in life a different way, just because basketball has been my whole life. So when I did go through that back surgery, not knowing if I was going to be able to play again, that's when I kind of just had to sit back and, say to myself, like, am I going to be miserable for the rest of my life if I can't play basketball, or am I going to look at it a different way, start appreciating other things? And, so that kind of helped me out a lot, just being able to have that transition in my mindset. And once I was cleared to play again and stuff, it just went back to working as hard as I do and, getting back on the court. But, yeah, at that specific time, it definitely was a rough time.
Yeah. You're talking about, coming off those injuries, and then you played last year. Obviously, last year was not the year that you guys necessarily wanted to, but I guess did any of that perspective on life and basketball, did that kind of play into, how you thought about how last season went at all?
Yeah, no, last season was really rough. And, when you're in the thick of it, going through that, as a competitor, you're just frustrated, trying to find ways, getting in the gym as much as possible. Because, for me, I'm big on just, like, looking at myself, like, what could I do better? What am I doing wrong? And things like that. And for me, it was really tough just not having an off season last year. I wasn't cleared to play live until October. And season started in November, so I didn't really have any off season to play live, play 5-on-5, play any of that. So it was definitely a rough season, just as a team as a whole, and then individually as well, just having to go through that. But yeah, this season, got more of an off season, healthy off season, and now we're just looking to be in that hunt of that tournament right now. So it's looking good.
How's this season been? Just like, it's a lot of freedom, right? A lot of offensive freedom. You guys are playing a lot faster. Like, was there any bit like, you kind of found your mojo back with basketball at all this year?
Yeah, I mean, just for me, it was really just having that off season and being able to work out consistently again. Because even last year, there's a lot of practices I couldn't practice in just because of back, just still recovering from that back surgery. So this year, just having that confidence back, not only in my game, but in my body as well, knowing that I could make plays again and just, be able to move the way I want my body to without being scared to dive on the floor or things like that, go jump up at the rim. And it's been really good just that way, having that year, that off season of just the summer to really work out and hone my skills and fine-tune everything. I feel like that's the biggest thing in terms of making me feel better for this year.
Yeah. So dang, that's scary. So like there's times like years before you're thinking about, like if I do this move, or you just were hesitant to do certain things just 'cause you didn't
last year for sure. I really was diving on the ground was one thing I tried to stay away from, taking charges, like all those things are going in my head of just like,
don't want to re-aggravate that back.
Don't want to do something to mess that back up. Even just going to finish at the rim, like with a contest, like was just something that was hesitant, just a lot of hesitant moments. So just gaining that confidence in all those aspects back has just been great. And, it's made the game fun again. So
that's awesome.
Great.
Yeah, back injuries are so brutal. They're so easy to re-aggravate, and it can be like the smallest things. Like I never had like a back injury where I had to get surgery or anything major, but like I tweaked my back in like high school football, and I swear like still to this day, like every time I do like a certain movement, it just like hurts. And
that's why I really am, just feel blessed just because the rehab and the surgeon I had did a really great job. And so now I can do everything, and I haven't had anything re-aggravated in there since then. So, yeah.
Do you do anything kind of extra to manage like your body health wise these days? Like yoga stuff like what's the Jarred Hyder secret?
Yoga definitely helps for sure, and I do try to get that in. For for me, it's really just been trying to be consistent in the weight room and training room. We got a great strength coach here and a great trainer in Crystal and Dan. They're both great, and even on the during the off season, they're really great in just managing my body and getting parts of my body stronger to alleviate other parts of it, and just being in there as consistent as I can, still even during season, has just been able to keep me on the court. So it's been great.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Great to see you kind of out here hooping again this year. Some big games. That Arizona State game, that was a big one. You guys were that close to taking down that school. I mean, I guess with going to the beginning of this season, when you guys had a lot of those like non-conference games, you guys were close against some really really high level programs.
Yeah.
I mean, how was that for you, playing against that level of competition for the team as a whole?
Yeah, no, it was great. It was a confidence booster for us, and obviously we all wanted those wins. And the first couple, we were like, okay, but as we started to go down the line and we just kept getting close to these big teams but not turning that corner, that's when we really started to, we weren't happy with it anymore. Like, okay, we want to win now. So the Stanford game was really big, and now that we got 2 league games under our belt, really just looking to make this surge in the second half of this conference and make it to Vegas. That's really what's on our mind right now. So
yeah. Do you guys know anything in terms of how many games you need to win out in order to make it? Like what kind of how many games you guys need to win? What kind of record you need the rest of the season in order to make it? Is there anything like that?
I mean, we haven't really talked in specifics about that right now. It's more of just knowing that we've played a lot of the tougher teams at the very beginning of our schedule for conference. So just taking it one game at a time and trying to just stack these wins from here on out and let the chips fall where they may. But yeah, right now we're just really trying to focus on, just taking these games one game at a time and getting the win each time. But I'm sure as we get closer and closer to the end, that'll be more of a thing we're looking out for. But still 9 games to go. Yeah, we just got to focus on winning right now to make sure we're in that conversation.
Yeah,
That's our job to figure that out.
Huh?
That's our job to figure out what they need to finish to make the conference.
Oh,
final.
yeah, probably. I mean, it depends too. Like,
I know.
how the team. But yeah, you're right. You guys played you played UC Irvine twice, San Diego, Davis twice. Even CSUN's like pretty good this year. Big West this year is tough.
Yeah.
Like Riverside too. Like, I don't know. There was
CSD.
there was a mid-major ranking that I saw, like just top 20, 25 teams in mid-major, and like I think 3 of the top 10 were all Big West schools. It was Irvine, SD, and Riverside. And even against, I think those schools, like you guys were, close and straight. Irvine overtime. SD, I know at the second half they kind of pulled away, but you guys were within like 2 possessions, I think.
Yeah.
I guess, what are you guys' kind of takeaways after, playing that tough stretch at the beginning of conference against those programs?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's really just, cleaning up our mistakes offensively and defensively. We know we could play with all the teams in this conference. That's not a question. So it's really just putting 40 minutes together. We'll have a close game within the first 20 minutes, and then we'll fall off, or we'll have a bad first half, and we'll play from behind and catch up, but it's too late in the game. So just for us, it's really been trying to put together a whole 40 minutes during this conference, and that's really what we're trying to focus on right now, not only in games but in practice too, just doing things to try and make us better throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
For sure.
How has it been just playing this, different style of play, just getting the ball up the court as fast as possible, trying to get into the paint? Even on defense, like the amount of switching you guys are doing, like how are you kind of enjoying or feel about this system that they have in place? Yeah,
no, it's fun. It's different for sure. I've never really played in a system like it. I'm used to a lot of pick and rolls and things of that sort. So it's different, but it's fun, and it's honestly opened my eyes and just how many ways this game can be played, and and how effective it is. So it's a fun brand of basketball, and it definitely was different for me, and there's definitely a little adjustment period, but yeah, it's fun for sure.
For sure. I wanted to talk a little bit about, talked about it a little bit, but a little more about that first conference win when you guys got Long Beach here at home. We were both at that game. It was a lot of fun. How did that kind of feel? Was it almost like, you were here for a last season kind of witnessed the downs. A lot of the newer guys, you know, they kind of inherited that losing streak. But even you, it dated back to before you were here as well. What was that kind of like after that first win? Did it almost feel you guys got a weight off your shoulder? Or just like how generally did that feel for the team? Like,
oh, for sure. It was great. It definitely, once we had broken that record, you know, it was everywhere. So we had no choice but to just accept it and know that that was looming over our heads. So to get rid of that, you know, it definitely felt like a relief. And it was great just to have that feeling of winning a conference game and giving that to the fans as well, as I know they've been waiting on that. So
yeah.
During that game when like Devin Askew dude, he had a ridiculous game against you guys. When he's like hitting those shots in the second half, you're like, man, we just gotta hang on.
Well, that's one of the I don't know if you saw, but one of the timeouts we had in that game, Coach DeGeorge got a little hyped up, and that's what he was that was his message to us, like, we're not going to be afraid to lose this game. Like, we're not going to play like we're afraid to lose. We're going to play to go win this game.
Let's go.
So that was his big message. And coming out of that timeout, we had a lot of energy, and that's just that was just our mindset going forward. We weren't thinking about losing. We weren't thinking about holding on to a lead. We were just like, we're going to play our brand of basketball, and we're going to live with the result. But no, Devin definitely had a great game. He was there my last year at Cal. I didn't get to play with him, but we became really close.
A little bit.
We became really close that one year we had together over
Sweet.
there.
Yeah, he was going stupid. It was crazy. He was talking to fans. He was talking crazy.
Yeah.
I have a good I was shooting video for the game, and I have a clip of him like chirping at the guy like right next to me. He was like asking to challenge an out of bounds call or like something like, no, that was you need to give that to us. He's like, he ain't giving you that. And said a word I'm not gonna say, but it was pretty funny.
You can say that. We're not. It's not like we have like sponsors or anything.
Yeah.
But I was going back to the message Coach George had about like, oh, we're not gonna play to not lose. And then you guys won those 2 games in a row. Long Beach State, big win at home, and then you go on the road to Bakersfield. For some reason, it was a packed out crowd in Bakersfield when I was watching. There were so many people there. I'm not sure what happened, but how did it feel to kind of pick up just those 2 wins in a row?
Yeah, no, it was great. Just to keep it rolling and just kind of show people it wasn't a fluke. Like, no, we didn't just win a game and we're gonna go back on a loot. Like, that's not happening. So yeah, it was good, and we just want to keep that momentum rolling as much as possible. Had a setback against Riverside, but yeah, no, we're still feeling good, and we want to keep this thing rolling and make this push to that tournament.
Team morale's good right now.
Yeah. I guess how is it with this group? Because it's an older group. You have a lot of players that are at least, I think. Are you the oldest on the team?
I'm not. I think I'm the 3rd oldest.
You're the 3rd oldest. And you played 6 years of college basketball.
Right.
Who's older than you?
Ethan. I know he's gonna be mad at me for
that.
Ethan. Ethan Menzies is the oldest. Yeah.
Okay. Who's the second oldest then?
I don't know. It's like we have like 3 guys that are all clustered like around the same birthday. So I'm not sure. I know because I'm 23. I know Max 23, I believe, and there's one other player. I think I can't think of who it is.
Yeah, but
Ethan's 24.
Yeah, it's definitely like an older group. Probably one of the older groups in college basketball as a whole. I mean, do you kind of feel that on a day-to-day in terms of how guys are in practice and just like habits, things like that? Do you feel that at all?
Yeah, for sure. Just the maturity level and the IQ even is just a lot higher than a lot of teams I've been on just because of that experience and things like that. So
yeah. I think there was some stat we had on the broadcast. It was like the starting lineup, like everyone was either older than 22 or 23 years old.
Yeah.
Like the whole starting line, because your core group of guys like that are playing a lot of minutes. Like that's how old everyone is.
It's a new age of college basketball.
Yeah.
Actually, I know you're not college basketball so much, but more just college sports in general. Crazy.
Yeah.
Jaden too. He played like 5 years of college football. Yeah. But obviously for you, it's a little different. You were dealing with injuries, had major back surgery.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess what's kind of the maybe is there a thing or two that if you feel like, hey, like we tune these things up, like as a team, like we're gonna start putting some wins together and putting just getting some wins.
Yeah, I mean, like just on both sides of the ball, defensively, it's really just being able to put possessions together. There's times we look really good defensively, and then times we just have mental lapses. And, just being able to execute the game plan the coaches are putting out there defensively is going to be really big during this last stretch. And then offensively, teams have given us different looks, and just being able to play through that and try and still play our brand of basketball. And we've had times where we've struggled with it on the court in game time, but getting better with that will be big for us going down the stretch because, teams are looking to take away me, take away Owen, take away Isaac, and trying to just let the other guys play. So just trying to find that balance of keeping those guys confident who they are, sagging off and things, but also still trying to make sure that we're really involved in that offense and not just icing us out when they are face guarding us and, have that game plan. So just finding that balance on both ends and being able to do it for 40 minutes is going to be big for this last stretch of games.
For sure. Wanted to ask you a little more about, like, the team overall. Obviously you transfer here last year. It's a new program. You're kind of one of the newcomers getting acclimated to the program, the area, et cetera. And then Coach Smith, part ways with Coach Smith, bring in Coach DeGeorge. He brings in a whole bunch of new guys with him, some new freshmen as well. How many returners? I think
Not many.
5.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how many exactly.
Yeah, it's like you, Aaron, Hayden,
J-Mo, Isaac.
Yeah.
That might
Not that, but yeah.
Yeah. So how was that kind of like turnover, bringing in all these new guys? What's kind of that experience been like with these new guys coming in? How was that like gelling experience? Like, do you feel like you've kind of gelled with them well pretty early on, or
Yeah.
how's that kind of transformation going from locker room to locker room like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I transferred a couple times, so,
Yeah.
I've had that experience before, but it was great just with the guys that came in. They're all really good guys on and off the court, so they made it way easier than, it is a lot of the time, because a lot of the time you do have to try to balance out egos and people who don't get along and things like that, especially for me as a point guard, just trying to get the whole team to, be as one. And with this team, it honestly wasn't too hard just because of the character and the guys that were brought in by Coach DeGeorge. They did a great job of just, the type of guys they brought in. And, I love it, each and every one of those guys. They're all really good people. So yeah.
Awesome. Want to ask you, too, now a little more about Coach DeGeorge. So he takes that jump from D2, comes to Cal Poly, his first Division I job. We actually had him on the pod. Was that right before this? Or it was right
before the season.
Yeah, it was right before the season. And he was just kind of talking about his mentality, how they're not a results-based like mindset within the team. Can you talk about that a little bit and just kind of like your experience with Coach DeGeorge and kind of the philosophy he runs compared to other coaches you've been around?
Yeah, no, like I said, they're completely different from other coaches, and I love Coach DeGeorge. He's amazing, one of my favorite coaches I've ever had, and it's definitely a different way. When they first came in, I was definitely a little hesitant just because of the things they were saying and, how we're going to be playing. For me, it was like a foreign concept just because, taking out the mid-range, and I was a big pick-and-roll guy, reading pick-and-rolls, and if they're in drop, I'm pulling up for mid-range and things like that.
Yeah.
So just kind of adjusting to that. But once we really got going, you really start to see the vision and how effective it can be. So, yeah, I mean, I love the coaches that came in, and I honestly got really lucky with the coaches just in terms of me loving them and they, reciprocating that love back to me. It's been great. It's been great with them.
Do you have any funny stories of like those first couple practices, them yelling at you for shooting a mid-range jumper, like just any like thing like that where system wasn't like just wasn't clicking one day, or like just any like new acclimating?
I mean, for
like
me
growth?
personally, I'm really quick to be able to adjust and catch on to concepts and stuff like that. So for me personally, it wasn't really anything that I had to like I kind of was able to do it pretty quickly, but it was definitely some guys that, you know, that we're doing some drills and they pull up for a mid-range and they're blowing it dead. Like, we're not doing that. And then even just like the pace was really a big part. We would get, if say there was a made shot, if we don't have it from the net taken out of bounds within the first second or two, it's a turnover. So it's just like, you know, just having that mentality of make or miss, we're running, and that pace has to be quick. I think that was the biggest thing for me. You know, so yeah, I would say that was probably the biggest thing, was just that pace and really how fast. Every coach I talked to while I was being recruited throughout my time in college, they all say they want to play fast, but there's a difference between when you get there and, you know, we're running half court sets the whole game.
Yeah.
But they'll tell every recruit they want to play fast, versus these coaches, they mean it. Like, we're playing really fast, and you know, it's really great, and it's hard to scout transition offense. So it really does give you an advantage if you're able to execute it.
Yeah. Well, it's like, not like you guys are running a set play. It's all random action, so it's like it's really hard to you can't. It's not like a set play. Oh, we're gonna defend this screen like this. Like, it's just, you don't know what's gonna happen that possession. You have no idea. So I think that's the fun part to it. Yeah, I don't know if I have any more basketball related stuff. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I have one more. It just made me think about it when you were talking about the pace. But is there like any extra kind of conditioning you guys do to keep up that style of play, like compared to other teams you've been around, or is it still just kind of normal conditioning stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the conditioning is different in terms of, so for other teams, you know, the conditioning would be line drills and going out to the track, things like that. But with this team, we really practice how we play. So our conditioning, they didn't make us go to the track at all. Our conditioning was, you're going to play 5-on-5, and you're going to play at the pace we want you to play at. And that's going to whip you guys into shape just because of how fast we're going to make you guys play.
I like that, honestly.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Go to the track and line. Like, that
I never agreed with the running a mile. I'm like, what is a mile going to do for me in basketball? Like, that's not – there's such a big difference between basketball shape, and you could take an amazing track athlete and you put him in a basketball game, he'll be gassed within the first couple minutes. Like, it's just such a different type of conditioning. So playing like that is actually going to get you into basketball shape, versus you're in shape running on a track, but you get on that court and you're gassed before the first media. You know, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Basketball shape's brutal. I get gassed in IM games.
Oh, I know you do.
Dude, I get gassed. It's because I grew up playing football, and it's just such a different, like, football, you go, and then you get like some downtime to just chill,
you get a 30-second break,
catch your breath.
First,
You know, I will say, this is like the underrated being a high school quarterback, where you got to like go to the sideline and get the play every time. I had one game where I was a backup QB, and I got in to like play quarterback instead of the usual running back spot. And I like came back to the huddle after like 3 plays, and I was like, guys, this is brutal. And I was gassed. But
that's funny.
It's totally unrelated. Yeah, basketball shape, crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely different for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what, I mean, a lot of athletes don't understand that either. Like, they look at it and they're like, oh, yeah, I could do it. Like, yeah, that you get that one stretch where there's no fouls called and you're going up and down for 6-7 possessions straight. Yeah, you got to be in some really good shape to be able to still make good decisions and take care of the ball and play defense, you know, throughout that stretch. So
yeah, not everyone plays like Chris Paul, where they're just half walking up the court, you know, 20-second possession every time. I was watching a Bucks game the other day, and Giannis like had like 3 straight possessions where he was just leaking out in the fast break and like just wind sprints, 3 straight possessions back and forth. And I was just like, dude, imagine just being gassed and you got to get back on defense and jump with Giannis. Like, oh, I do not wish to be in that position.
Yeah, not fun. Anything basketball related, or we can do the.
I think we're good with basketball, unless you got any other basketball stuff you want to talk about. I think we're good.
No, we just like to wrap the interview up, just asking questions about you personally, interests outside of basketball, anything like that. Also about like slow, living in slow. So yeah, you can start with the living in slow part. I guess, what are some of your favorite things to do here in slow?
I mean, the weather's great. You know, one of my favorite cities, I'm from Southern California, one of my favorite cities is San Diego, and I would say this is really similar in terms of just like the weather beaches being everywhere, being really close to the beach here. It's really nice. So, yeah, that would be honestly one of my favorite things is just being so close to the beach, and then just the weather here. It's freezing cold, and it's never super hot. Like, it stays in that pretty mid-range type of, weather. So I would say that's probably one of my favorite things, living out here. And then it's also just, it's ironic, but like it's slow pace out here. The city is slow, but it really is slow pace. Like,
For sure.
you're not worried about hopping on the freeway and dealing with traffic and things like that, where Southern California, you know how LA traffic is and things like that. So, yeah, it's great, just being able to live in a city like this.
I don't even like hop on the freeway at all, like because you don't need to, or for the. I mean, maybe a little bit. For
Yeah,
like
I'm a little
exit for an exit or two.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm on the freeway
Yeah.
way too much.
Yeah, I
too.
get on the freeway every day to come to school, but
Yeah.
it's probably like an 8-minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nothing bad at all.
Yeah. So I get on the freeway sometimes. I'm like, I haven't driven on the freeway in so long. Like, what is this? This is weird.
My girlfriend's house is over by Laguna Lake, so it's just like a little commute every time. Or just go down Foothill. But sometimes driving down Foothill at night is just like you can't see anything. It's so foggy, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You got some?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about just like favorite restaurants in SLO.
That was mine.
Favorite restaurants. Sheesh. I'd probably say I love crab, so like going down to Pismo to crack crab.
Okay.
That's always great. But in SLO itself, Eureka's great. Finney's, those downtown restaurants are really good. So
you got the fire happy hour, like appetizer deals over there too.
So even what's the pizza spot in downtown right across from
Flower House?
Or Flower House?
Woodstocks, They have like I had tried that. And I tried the fluffy crust they had, and it was really good. Stomach paid for it, but it was good.
I have to try it. I don't know if I've had that.
I don't think so. I haven't had that.
Yeah, the fluffy crust over there, it's really good.
All right. I got kind of a fun one. What's your favorite stadium that you've played at? And you can't say any of the schools that you've played for.
Favorite stadium I played at was probably Utah State when I was at Fresno. Their fan base is ridiculous over there. Yeah, so we played them, and it was we went into overtime with them my freshman year, but it was rocking from the start. And they had Keita was on the team coming back, and his first game back from injury was against us. So he was coming off the bench. And I just remember I'm dribbling up the court one possession, and the whole crowd erupts. Like, you can't hear. Like, you literally couldn't hear yourself think. It was the loudest, like, I think it's ever been while I'm playing in a game. Wow. And I just look over to the side, and he's checking into the game, and they were just going nuts. But, yeah, it was a really electric game. I remember I threw, like, 2 half-court lobs that game to teammates. And, yeah, it was a really really electric game, but I'd say that was probably the best environment. Them and San Diego State also had a really good environment. We played them my freshman year at San Diego State when they were like 7th in the nation. They were top 10 in the nation, and we lost by 4. And I think I had like 23 that game, and that was also a really fun game to play in. So
yeah, I think I was looking at that game when I was looking at like your freshman year game logs, and that was a good game for sure. What's like kind of leads me into this. What's your favorite game you've ever played in? I know you were talking about that Paul George jersey was it jersey retirement or just Paul George?
Yeah, Fresno retired his jersey. Yeah, that was definitely one of them. That game was really fun just because of the environment. And here I'd say at Cal Poly it would probably be between the Long Beach game just because we got that first win, but also the Denver game because we were down by almost 20, and just being able to catch fire in the second half. I think I started off like 1 for 7 from 3 and ended up hitting like 7 in a row in the second half to close the game out for us. So that was also a great game just to be able to come back from that and still win. It was probably one of the biggest comeback wins I've had in my career. So
that's dope. Comeback win always hits.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I was there for that.
You were there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one was home. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was the Stanford one that was at Stanford. that was a fun game to watch too.
Yeah.
You guys have had a lot of fun games to watch this year. Even like some of the games where haven't got like quite the results you wanted. Like your team's just a lot, from my perspective, a lot more fun to watch than team last year. Just the play style is so much more entertaining to just like even the casual fans, I feel like.
Yeah. You have anything else, or I had one, but I guess who's the best player you've ever played against, just overall?
That's a tough one. So my freshman year, I actually played against two really good players, and Sam Merrill at Utah State was really good, and then Peyton Pritchard. That was his Pac-12 Player of the Year his senior year. So my first game as a freshman, I was matched up with Peyton Pritchard. So, he didn't kill us like he was killing everybody else that season, but they still won. We actually came back and, cut it close towards the end, but he was just so calm and collected, and, just seeing that as a freshman guard, just seeing how good he was at just keeping his own pace and not letting, pressure and things like that affect him. It was crazy to, be guarding him and just seeing how good he was at not letting anything affect him, playing at his own pace and things like that. So my freshman year, I would say those are definitely the two best players I played against. And, that being my first experience in college, those are the two that kind of, hang with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. You're a freshman and then guarding future NBA players.
Right.
Yeah. Anything from like high school or AAU, like guys you played on at that level?
I played a lot of them. I don't know who I would say was. I don't know. I mean, one of the most memorable ones I had was AAU. We played in Vegas against Tyrell Terry and Matthew Hurt on D1 Minnesota, and I think I had like 30 that game. And Tyrell Terry was my matchup, and we were able to lock him up. Matthew Hurt had a really good game. I think he had like 28, so me and him were going back and forth. Right. So me and him were going back and forth that game, and we ended up losing by like 1 or 2 points, but we had like Kansas and all those, blue bloods in the crowd. So in high school, performing in front of them was great.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
dope.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's not like, well, yeah, it's fun. So what's next after this year? Last year of eligibility. What's next for Jarred Hyder?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it'll definitely be, going to play pro basketball and seeing what opportunities I have there. So, that's what I'll be looking forward to. This season, definitely just focusing in on this season, trying to get it done, make it to that tournament, make that push. But, yeah, once the season comes to an end, it'll definitely be exploring my options and seeing, what pro opportunities I have.
That's awesome, man.
I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you, Jarred. Appreciate you coming on the pod. Game 2 days from now, Hawaii on Thursday. It's probably after that. I would guess.
Yeah.
So, good luck on that one. Yeah, appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you guys. Thank
you. Thanks, Jarred. All right, so that wraps it up with our interview with Jarred Hyder, Cal Poly men's basketball. That was really fun, Matt, to just talk with Jarred about his journey. I didn't realize his back injury was as serious. I knew he had to miss the whole year, but it was crazy him talking about, like, last year not even wanting to, like, dive for loose balls because he was worried about his back, like, re-aggravating. So it was cool to get that perspective from him.
Yeah, that's a scary thing. Just, like, you have to be hesitant on the court, that's not something you want to have in mind, especially playing at the D1 level when everything's just so quick and instant. Like, he doesn't want to step in front of someone to take a charge. It's like you can't really hesitate when you want to do that type of stuff, or else it's going to be a blocking foul most of the time. But good to see him coming back. I think he's having one of his best seasons. I think maybe his best season of his career. Yeah, from a statistical perspective. Yeah,
he's like he's averaging 13 points per game, which is his previous high was 10, I believe. And he's shooting 34% from three, and his career high was like 29.8 or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good to see him thriving this year, playing some really great basketball, had some really big games. So
I think that's pretty much it for what we wanted to go over. If you like what you heard, you can check us out on any preferred streaming platform or at KCPR KCPR.org/podcast in the sports section of mustangnews.net/sports.
You can also follow KCPR on Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter at KCPR913 and Mustang News Sports at CP Mustang Sports on Instagram and at Cal Poly MN Sports on Twitter and TikTok.
For more information on men's basketball, you can check the official Cal Poly Athletic website at gopoly.com.
Ride high.
And go Stangs.